though. The building had 13 floors when I moved in. I know this for a fact. I signed the lease for apartment 1B, took the elevator up, and counted the buttons. 13 glowing circles, from the lobby to the penthouse. It was an old building, the kind with creaking pipes and a faint, musty smell in the hallways. But the rent was a steal for the city. I spent the first night unpacking boxes, falling asleep to the distant hum of traffic, content in my new home high above the streets. The next morning, I stepped into the elevator to head to work, and my thumb hovered over the panel. There were 12 buttons. I blinked, tracing the numbers with my finger. Lobby, 2, 3, all the way up to 12. No, 13. 2. I chuckled to myself, thinking maybe I'd miscounted the night before, jet-lagged and tired from moving. It was an easy mistake to make. The penthouse must have been on 12. I shrugged it off and rode down, the old machinery groaning its familiar song. That evening, I ran into Mrs. Gable from 11C in the lobby. We exchanged pleasantries, and I mentioned how I was still settling into 1B. She gave me a strange look. She said the 12th floor was the top floor, always had been. There was no 13s. Her certainty was unsettling, but I dismissed it as a simple mix-up. Maybe I was the one who was confused. It happens when you're in a new place. I just wanted to get upstairs and relax. The following day, the elevator panel stopped at 11. The button for the 12th floor was gone. Not broken, not covered up, just gone. 2. The plastic panel was smooth and seamless, as if the number 12 had never existed. I felt a cold knot tighten in my stomach. I got out on the 11th floor and walked towards the stairwell. The door that should have led up to my floor was now a solid, plaster wall, painted the same beige as the rest of the hallway. There were no marks, no seams, just a flat, empty surface where a staircase should have been. My heart hammered against my ribs, ran back down the stairs, bursting into the lobby and nearly colliding with the building manager. Mr. Henderson. I tried to explain, my words tumbling out in a panicked rush. My apartment, the 12th floor, it was gone. He looked at me with a patient, slightly weary expression, the kind you'd give a child telling a tall tale. He calmly explained that the building had 11 floors, holiday. He even pulled out the original blueprints from his office, dated 1968, showing a structure that topped out at 11. I started asking other residents, a young couple on the 3rd floor, a student on the 7th, an elderly man on the 10th. Each one gave me the same answer, the same confused, slightly pitying look. The building had 11 floors, thick. They'd lived here for years, some for decades, and it had always been 11 floors. No one remembered a 12th floor. Yes, no one remembered me. It was as if my entire existence within the building had been erased along with the floor I lived on. That night, I didn't sleep in an apartment. I couldn't. I spent the hours huddled in a forgotten storage closet under the 1st floor stairs. It's hot, the smell of dust and old paint filling my lungs. I listened to the building settle, the groans and sighs of the old structure sounding less like a house and more like a living, breathing thing. I kept telling myself it was a dream, a hallucination brought on by stress. I'd wake up in my bed on the 12th floor and laugh about it. But when morning came, the building had 10 floors. The button for the 11th floor had vanished. I saw Mr. Henderson in the lobby, and I asked him about the Gables, the nice older couple from 11C. He frowned, his brow furrowed in concentration. He said he'd never heard the name. He'd been the manager for 20 years, he said, and he knew everyone. There were no Gables in the building. Even showed me the tenant roster. Their names weren't on it. Panic gave way to a chilling, methodical dread. I started documenting everything, too. Pictures of the elevator panel with my phone each night before I hid. I recorded videos of the stairwells, counting the flights of stairs. I interviewed residents, asking them how many floors the building had, recording their confident, unwavering answers. Each morning, my evidence from the day before became proof of a world that no longer existed. The building was shrinking, devouring itself from the top down, and I was the only one who could see it. It was a slow, silent erasure. One day, the 10th floor was there, bustling with the sounds of life. The next, the 9th floor was the top, and the people from the 10th a family with 2 young kids. A quiet musician I'd sometimes hear practicing his guitar were gone. Not just moved out, erased. No one remembered them. No mail piled up. No one asked where they went. They had simply never been. I stopped talking to people. What was the point? They lived in a pleasant, stable reality, a building with a fixed number of floors. My reality shifted every 24 hours. They looked at me with growing suspicion. I was the strange man who slept in storage closets, who stared at the elevator buttons with a frantic intensity, who muttered to himself in the hallways. I was becoming a ghost in a place that was actively unmaking itself. Now, there are only 4 floors left. Last night, it was 5. I remember the woman on the 5th floor, a baker who always smelled of cinnamon and sugar. This morning, her floor is gone. The elevator panel is a short, stubby thing, the numbers stopping at 4. The air feels heavier, denser. Silence between the groans of the building is longer, more profound. It feels like it's holding its breath, waiting. I don't know what happens when it gets to the 1st floor. What happens when the lobby is the top floor? Does the building itself just vanish into the ground, leaving an empty lot and a city full of people who have no memory of it ever being here? Or does it consume the final floor, the lobby, and then what? Does it start over? Or does it just stop, satisfied? I'm not scared of dying anymore. The fear has been worn down, replaced by a deep, weary curiosity. Only real terror is the thought of being erased. Not just ceasing to exist, but having every trace of my existence wiped clean. 2 have never been born, never laughed, never loved, never moved into this hungry, impossible building. 2 nights. I won't hide in the closet. I'm sitting on the lobby floor, my back against the cool marble wall, watching the front door. The building has 3 floors now. Soon, it will be 2. Then 1. I'm holding my phone, its screen the only light in the dim lobby. I'm recording. I don't know who this is for. Maybe it's a message in a bottle. A final piece of evidence from a world that is about to be unwritten. My name is Sam. I lived on the 12th floor. Please, remember me.